Hello, future math teachers. My name is Brent Bauman, and I want to go over the NES and Praxis test with you and just give you some information on them, some general information. It's important to do your own due diligence on researching these and making sure that you're getting the right test for the state that you're located in. Little background on myself. I am currently a full-time math faculty at GCU and I teach online. Before coming to GCU, I was a high school teacher for 8 years. Okay, our agenda today is to talk about the NES and the Praxis tests. We'll look at the testing domains for both of them, discuss some practice exams for both of them, and look at some testing strategies. Here's a general list of what's required for each state. Again, make sure you're checking into this on your own, but you can see that usually it's the Praxis test or the NES test. Some of the states do have their own test, so make sure you look into those. After you get done testing and you get your certificate, if you do decide to move to a different state, some states do accept your transcripts or your certificate, teaching certificate from a different state. So you'd want to look into that if that's something that you may end up doing. And they have a website that you can go to and you click on the state and you just check their information and it'll tell you if you're going to need maybe an additional test or an additional fee, or maybe you can just come in and start teaching right away. Usually it's some flexibility. They want you to come in and teach, and then maybe you'll have to get the requirements done within a certain amount of time. Okay. So the first test we want to talk about is the NES test. So this test is a multiple choice test and it's going to be 150 questions. So they give you about 5 hours to work on this. That's a long time to be sitting, so make sure that you're doing some test prep of just being prepared to test for that long and that many questions. It's by appointment, so you can set up when it's convenient for you to test and take advantage of that. And then they have a website that has a ton of information that I would suggest checking out. So here's their general information on testing. So it'll give you the format, which we talked about, how long, if you're allowed to take restroom breaks, which you are by appointment. You can get the passing score for the test that you're or for the state that you're in, and then just some other reference material, the fee. So there are a fee to some of these, so look into that. But just general information is pretty good on their website. So you can go there and check that out. The courses that you're taking here at GCU for your secondary ed math degree are listed. So these are the ones that are going to help you for the testing on this one. So here's the domains. You can see there's 5 different domains. It's broken up. And these are the courses that you've taken or you're getting ready to take that will help you. And notice that each domain has about the same number of questions. So they do spread it out to really see what you know. More resources available. So again, on the NES website, they have test questions. They have, full length tests that you can take for practice. There's a fee, but if you're not used to testing for that long, that's probably a good thing to do, or at least take some of the smaller tests. So let's see what we have just to show you what's on the NES page. So you'd find the Math 304. It gives you some more of that general information. And then if you come down here, you can look at the domains. And if you just pick one and get into it, it gives you a description of the statement. So this should give you an idea of the types of questions you're going to see. And then here's a sample question to try. So just trying one from each is probably not enough. I would definitely take some sort of practice test before you take the actual exam. But this is a good starting point, and you can see here's the practice test to take to work your way through. Okay, so that's our NES. The other test we're going to talk about is the praxis test. Same idea. This one's 66 selected response questions, and you have 3 hours. So this one's a little shorter of a time period. Same sort of idea. It's by appointment, year round. And then the testing site has, all the resources just like the NES test. So look at their website. You can see that you can find which state requirements, you can find a test and prep for it, and then access your score once you're done. So this is all the information you can see up here. Get free resources, find test and prep. So again, I would start at the test website that you have to take as your main source of resources. And then if you have to branch out a little bit, you can look for those other resources. But they do provide a lot of information for you. Again, here's your courses that you've been taking or you're going to take here at GCU. And then here's some breakdown of the different areas that will be tested. So same concepts that you saw on the NES test. Some strategies to take on before you take the test or the exam is use the review material. We talked about that as looking at the website, taking some of the practice tests, taking your time, preparing for this. I put schedule the test in the morning, but that's more of a personal for me. I like testing in the morning and not midday or in the afternoon. And then, just general, get a good night's rest, healthy breakfast, drink some fluids. Don't get crazy with fluids, but, make sure you're hydrated and doing well when you go into the test. When you get to the actual questions, make sure you're reading the entire question, not just skimming through it. Answer the questions you know first. That's a good strategy, is just go through the entire test. Some of the questions you're gonna be like, yep, I know that one. I know that. Get those done, and then leave behind the ones that maybe you are not 100% sure about, and you can spend your remaining time on those, and it will help you make sure that you answer all the questions for sure that you know. And then, for some reason, if you run out of time and there's 3 or 4 that you didn't get to, well, those were questions that you weren't sure about. So those are the better ones to leave if you have to leave something blank. Look over the formula page. That's a good thing to check out. Read every answer, and eliminate them. So when you go through multiple choice, there's going to be some options that are probably not realistic, so you can get rid of those right away and then focus on the other one. And make an educated guess with the remaining options. Okay. Well, I hope that was helpful in getting prepared a little bit. Just some general information on the 2 tests. Definitely do your own research. Look at their websites to find more specific information. All right. I appreciate you stopping by and watching the video, and have a good day.